What's going on, everyone? Monty here. Just thought I'd make this quick, hopefully quick, informative video about my 2019 Ram 1500. I've seen a lot of videos talking about how they do and how they are, and not a lot of long-term tests of a truck like this within a year. I'm approaching 20,000 miles on this vehicle. I have a little under 19.5, so I've got about 500 miles to go. So I kind of figured I'd let you guys know what I think of this truck, how it's done for me, and what I think of it for the future, and how I came to own a Ram 1500. Apologize if this video is a little shaky. I'll try to edit it out the best I can. But I am driving. I'm heading out to my storage unit. So, I bought this in September of 2019 on sale. It was built in March of 2019, so it had been sitting around for about 6 months before I made the purchase. I owned Chevys for 6 years before I had this truck. I'm 31. So I actually inherited a GMC Sierra from my uncle back in 2013. Loved that truck. I had it for 4 years and drove it into the ground, did a whole bunch of modifications to it, and loved that truck. Wasn't my dream truck. And then I purchased a 2015 Silverado Crew Cab, which I thought was going to be my truck to have for a long time. Turns out it wasn't. And then I moved into this, but I originally moved into this vehicle because of the looks of one of the main reasons why I purchased it. Again, I apologize for the shakiness. My 2015 Chevy also started having some issues. I had done some work to it, lift, tires, all that stuff. It got 13, 14 miles to the gallon average. So, wasn't exactly the most fuel-efficient vehicle in the world. It was also having some transmission issues. It would randomly the torque converter would just unlock at highway speeds, and the clutches wouldn't lock up. So, it also had some issues with misfires and all that stuff, and it had 67,000 miles on it when I sold it. It wasn't really something I wanted to deal with down the road, because I know there was a lot of issues with some of those trucks, lifter issues, cam issues, not something I really wanted to deal with. So I was in the market for a Ram, because I loved the way they look. I loved the deals that they had on them at the time. Around the beginning of August 2019, I looked at one, found one I liked. The deal didn't pan out. Wasn't really the price I was willing to pay. So I ended up dropping that. And then my girlfriend and I at the time took a trip to Colorado, where we rented a 2019 Ram Limited. Not on purpose. I just ended up renting that by accident. Hertz rental car. I rented a full size for $200 for a weekend in Denver, and they ended up giving me a truck, which is one of the main reasons why I immediately went out and bought one of these a week later. But what I have done to this in the last, how long have I had this? Almost 9-10 months. I think, or kind of the way I envision a truck being for me. At first, I love this truck. I love the power that it puts out, 395 horsepower, 410 foot-pounds of torque out of the Hemi. Even with the smaller gear ratio, the 321 gears, this thing puts out a lot of power. Reason why I enjoy that so much, and what got me into wanting to have a Ram, was my girlfriend had a 2018 Ram 1500, and I just loved that powertrain. It towed so well. It was easy to operate. It was comfortable. Never had any issues with that thing. So I love this powertrain. I feel like it's the best powertrain that I've ever driven. Probably the best one that Ram has had. I know some friends that have had older Rams that had issues with transmissions. Not a single issue with hers, and not a single issue with mine. Transmission and engine wise, should I say. Now, after I purchased this truck, I was skeptical. I felt like deep down I had made a bad decision, but I didn't. But at the same time, I felt like I didn't. It was kind of anxiety, nerves. I just made a big purchase, and it was my first new truck, the new vehicle that I've ever purchased. So it was a big thing for me. But I loved this truck. Model that I got, I have a Lone Star model. In other states, this would be a Bighorn. Level 2 trim, or excuse me, level 1 trim. It has the sport package, the chrome wheels, and the Hemi, and the off-road package. So this is, kind of your bare bones, mid to low range truck. It's not, one of the luxury levels by any means, not even close to a Limited or a Laramie. It has manual air conditioning, but it comes feature packed with what I really wanted. I wanted to have the power seat, power adjustable pedals, which it has. Overall convenience that the level 1 package comes with is it just kind of beats out any other brand. Level 1 package has power adjustable pedals, the mirrors fold in, turn signals in the mirrors. It has the 8.4-inch touchscreen, which has the most high definition backup camera I have ever had in a vehicle, which is crazy. And I'll put a picture of that on this video later. But it comes with everything I need. Power rear window as well. And I had that on my Chevy. Didn't get any fancy sound system though. This wasn't the truck that I actually wanted, but when I went to the dealer, but it was the second truck that was on my list. But I'm happy with what I ended up with. Overall, in the last 20,000 miles, issues I've had to deal with mostly pertain to the rear window back here. It had a major issue with cracking. This is actually the third back window that has been in this vehicle since I purchased it. The only other issue that I had was the serpentine belt on the engine had to be replaced back in December of 2019 because it was coming apart. Haven't noticed any issues with that since. To the back window, the frame tends to crack. This was common on 2019 models. I'm not sure about 2020, but I think they fixed it. It would crack and it would leak. So I had that replaced, and then when they replaced it, the rear defroster quit working, so they fixed that. Then it didn't work again, so they replaced the whole window again. Now everything's working, got retinted and all that stuff. I haven't had an issue with it since. Other issues I've had are mostly pertaining to the dealer and the quality of service that I get out of them. I did not service this vehicle, and I will not service it at the dealer that I purchased it from, simply because I just don't think that they know what they're talking about. First time I went into their service department, they use an outside service to schedule appointments. There's no real service advisor, and they're kind of outsourced. So I knew kind of ahead of time that it wasn't really what I wanted to deal with. There was another dealer that was closer to my house at the time that I could actually talk to a human being. They knew what was going on. They knew what I was talking about, and I liked them better. And they kind of hooked me up with some stuff. So that's the one that I'd preferred to use. Other than that, I think early in 2020, I was kind of fed up with this truck a little bit, mostly because of that rear window and the dealership issues. There was a couple issues. There were also recalls. The brakes making noise, which didn't get fixed properly, and some other stuff. Cosmetically, the front bumper paint on it has chipped a little bit, not major, but they're like rock chips. That could be a factor of poor paint quality, or it could be I live in Houston, Texas, so any number of things can fly off a vehicle any possibly can. It's smooth, it gets great gas mileage. Even with the big 34-inch tires I've put on this and level kit, it still gets great gas mileage. I have no complaints on that aspect. I would keep this truck forever, and yes, I would buy another one. However, I would probably buy it with a little bit higher trim package so I can have a few more features. My Chevy and my GMC had automatic climate control and heated seats. This truck doesn't have that. I wish it did, but that's what was available at the time, and it's the truck that I liked. Also, my Chevy had a Bose stereo system, which after getting in this truck and turning it on the stereo, this Ram is just and it's a standard audio system. Doesn't have the Alpine, doesn't have the Hummer and Carton. It just blows that Bose sound system out of the water. It's just so much better sound quality. I did replace the dash speakers with some basic kicker speakers, just like $30 at Best Buy or Crutchfield or wherever you get your speakers from. It definitely improved the highs on the audio and made the sound a little bit more crisp. There's no issues with bass. I love the bass that this thing puts out great bass. The speakers in the doors are great. They don't rattle. So even for a bass sound system, this is a very good sound system. A few other things, stuff I've done to it. I put a tonneau cover on the back of it. It has a level kit, 2-inch MotoFab level kit on it. I will probably replace that with some Bilstein leveling struts later on down the road. And when it actually wears out, I put some Rebel wheels on it and some Nitto trail grapplers on it with 34s. I've also put a Flowmaster FlowFX muffler on it. I still have the rear resonators. I didn't want it that loud. And it also has an Air Raid Junior intake kit on it. So it doesn't have a full cold air, but it has the tube and the filter from Air Raid. Other things, 5% window tint all around. It has Morimoto LED fog lights. There was not on my list of stuff to do, but I took a rock to one of my fog lights, and those are actually glass, and they shattered. So instead of spending $150 on one fog light, I spent $175 on two Morimoto LED fog lights. Other than that, that's about all I've done to it. Tinted the tail lights a little bit, and what else have I done? Not that much. I plan to do a few more things with this later on down the road. Maybe I'll get some new headlights for it because it has the halogens. I really like the Alpha Rex headlights. Those are pretty sweet. Other than that, that's about it. Oh, and I put a bed rug in it. I had spray ends on my GMC and on my Chevy. They're great bed liners. Spray ends are. I mean, if you have a choice of what to get, I would definitely get a spray end. But I wanted to try something different since I have a cover on the bed. This truck, I didn't have one on the GMC or Chevy, so wanted to be able to, camp in it if I ever wanted to, and not have my knees ruined every time I needed to get into it. But other than that, this truck has been very good. Replacement parts wise, like I said, the only thing I've had to replace on it is the fog lights because of it getting rock shattered. I can't think of anything that I've ever had to replace. Obviously, I do my oil changes every 5,000 miles. I do them myself using Shell Rotella gas truck and a K&N spin-on filter with the little the white filter. You can get those pretty cheap on Amazon every now and then. So I bought a bunch about 3 or 4 months ago for like $6.99 each. They're normally at the auto parts store. They're probably about $16. But oil changes I can do pretty cheap. All that stuff you can get on Amazon, which is great. Windshield wipers, I took the factory windshield wipers off, mostly because they were crap right when I bought it. It rained the day that I got the truck, and I couldn't get. wiping. I mean, it just leaves streaks everywhere. So I bought some basic Bosch Micro Edge wiper blades, which are the old, metal style, not the blade style. I've had them on this truck for 20,000 miles. Those are the only things I really replaced on it. 20,000 mile intervals coming up. I'll probably clean that Air8 air filter, replace the cabin air filter. All those are easy to do, easy maintenance yourself. Probably, I don't tow with it, so I probably won't be replacing any of the rear fluids or transmission fluids anytime soon. Let's see, what else? That's really all I can think of, but if anybody has any questions for me, what I've put on my truck, how much it's cost, most expensive add-on I put on this truck was the tires. I'll probably spend more on things later on, but all in all, I would buy this truck again 2-3 times over. Coming from a GM truck, 2 GM trucks, this thing just blows it out of the water. Power, quality, comfort. I would have to get out of the truck after 2 hours on a road trip in my Chevy, and I wouldn't be able to get back in it for 20-30 minutes because the seats were so hard and uncomfortable. They're comfortable on short drives, but long term they're just terrible. But these Ram seats are so comfortable. The adjustability on them is perfect, and it's overall a very comfortable truck. Smooth ride, the rear coil suspension as opposed to the leaf suspension of what I'm used to. Handles a lot better, and even when loaded or towing, it handles a lot better. Major complaints I have about this probably would be initial quality with the window issue, but that's to be expected out of a brand new body style vehicle. I usually would never recommend buying the first body style, but I was a little too excited about this truck, so that's why I bought it. Lesson learned. Of course, I haven't had any major issues. If I ever do, I will document those. But what I'll try to do from now on is kind of post some videos of what I do to this truck. I've already posted a few, or one at least for exhaust. That's had a few views, but like I said, leave a comment. If anyone has any questions, I will gladly answer them. Thanks, have a good day. I'm going to try to stay cool today because it is a humid 93 degrees here in Houston, Texas. So be safe.